What's the secret to moving your strategy forward and fast? Is it communicating a clear vision, getting buy-in, changing the organizational structure, integrating new systems and processes, or creating strong incentives? All of these things can create acceleration, but they're not the most important thing. What you need to move your strategy forward and fast is revealed in Newton's second law of motion. It says force equals mass times acceleration, or F equals ma. If you take two objects of the same mass and hit one with force, you'll have acceleration. If you hit the other with more force, you'll have more acceleration. So why can't you hit your organization and make it move like those objects? The answer: mass is not size or volume, mass is resistance to change. In order to get your organization to do something, you have to reduce the resistance first. In other words, you have to gather the mass. Then you can hit it with a force and produce acceleration. To move your strategy forward and fast, the general rule of thumb is identify who will be impacted by a decision downstream and involve them upstream in the decision-making process. Specifically, you must involve those with authority, power, and influence over the implementation. Authority is the legal right to say yes and no. Many people can say no in an organization, but very few can actually say yes. Essentially, you've got to go up the organization and get the lowest level of authority involved in the decision-making process. Power is the ability to help or hinder. Power exists throughout the organization, not just at the top. Simply recognize who can help or hinder in the implementation and involve them up front. Influence is the ability to get what you want without relying on authority or power. You can find influence both within and outside the organization. Recognize who has influence over the implementation and involve them in the decision-making process too. For example, imagine that this is the size of the task that you want to accomplish. If this is a big task, then the potential resistance will be widespread. If you don't gather in the mass, the resistance to change remains high, poor decisions are made, and implementation gets bogged down. But when you gather in the mass by involving those with authority, power, and influence up front, the resistance to change is reduced, better decisions are made, and implementation becomes swift. You can now hit the organization with a force, and it will quickly accelerate in the right direction. The bottom line is, if you want to be successful, don't fight the physics.